To be clear, we are not attorneys and this is not legal advice. So please consult with a bankruptcy attorney to confirm what I'm about to say. We have found several attorneys here on YouTube, all of whom have said that the COVID-19 EIDL can be included in bankruptcy. So if a loan is in bankruptcy, it's discharged. The debt is discharged. It's like any debt. Next question. Coach Dave. I don't know, Dave. We don't know the answer to that question. This is not the same as the COVID program. SBA has changed their SOP in terms of how they're underwriting these files. They're plugging numbers into a spreadsheet. I cannot get a straight answer from the SBA as to how they're calculating. One loan officer in the same conversation where she told me that the business was ineligible because of insufficient cash flow, as she could see it on her spreadsheet, to which I said, so that spreadsheet populates automatically? She says, oh no, I have to manually enter the income and liabilities, which is unbelievable. This was last year, 2024. You have to do that, the SBA. But we already know their technology is 15 years behind the times. She says in that same conversation, a few minutes later, she says, well, you know, we can have a debt to income ratio we go up to, and I don't remember the number because it wasn't worth remembering. So I apologize. We cannot answer that question. I don't know when you say, but they're telling us, it's on the SBA website. Part of the regulations for the program, the disaster loan program, a business can be eligible for up to $2 million. It's the same if I pre-qualified you when I was a mortgage banker, if I pre-qualified you for a mortgage and I said that you are qualified up to $350,000 purchase price for a house. That doesn't mean you're going to buy a $350,000. Maybe you're going to buy a $200,000 house. But what it does mean is that you're qualified for $350,000 and not $700,000. So the fact that the SBA is allowed to lend up to $2 million on a disaster loan does not mean that everyone is going to be eligible for that. As I mentioned earlier about our landscaping client, Southern California, that is a business that has substantial, in the millions, of revenue. And that business lost $680,000. And at first, the SBA said, we'll give you $13,000. And then they came back and said, well, no, we're not going to give you anything. I know this sounds confusing, but that's because almost everything about the SBA is confusing. I have argued with SBA loan officers, loan specialists, contractors, whoever it was during the pandemic, because I read in the summer of 2020, after we helped our first 40 clients to get approved and things kind of quieted down and I got sick, I got COVID, I read the SBA's Statement of Procedures, which is the underwriting handbook. And I've had many SBA representatives tell me on the phone, wow, Trevor, you really know this program in and out. You know more about this program than many of my colleagues. That's that's a terrible thing to hear because I don't work for the SBA. But I've had these arguments about criteria in the SBA Statement of Procedures, and I've had loan specialists just dig in their heels and say, no, we can't do that. I'm like, but in the guidebook, it says you can do that. Please understand, in my mortgage career, that's how I made a living. That's how I put people in houses for 30 years, arguing with my underwriters at the bank saying, it's here in the guidebook. It says we can do this loan. They can get a gift from their mother and their aunt and their uncle, and they don't need any money of their own for the FHA program. And I would win those arguments. If you are applying for any kind of financing, if you take a simple fifth grade arithmetic look at your tax return, and if the bottom line income is a loss, if the bottom line income is very small, let's say you made $750,000 in gross revenue, but you're showing on the bottom line after expenses $38,000 profit. Just use your common sense. You don't need to know a formula. You need to understand that those decisions you made with your tax professional to lower your net income, to in turn lower your tax liability, is going to come around and bite you on the ass when you apply for financing, whether it is a disaster loan or any other type of financing. And our other channel, Simple Sense for Small Business, we have discussed this ad nauseum. Linda's going to put the link up. And this is a good opportunity for me to ask all of you to take a moment right now, if you find I'm not ranting and raving like an idiot, to hit the thumbs up and like the video that we're doing right now. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you get notifications. Consider an act of charity. Consider taking our video or other videos we have on our channel, sharing those with somebody. Share our videos with your attorney. Share our videos with your accountant. I just feel it's time we got to plug ourselves. I mean, we are here to make money. I mean, we are in business. And if you need answers to these questions more detailed, that you are willing to do DIY, do it yourself, we have our resource hub, expert advice and forms and templates, and a private playlist of instructional videos. I'm about to publish new updates through April 30th. If you buy it now, you get free updates through April 30th. Boss Babe and Budgets. At long last, I'm up to your question. Thank you, Linda Ray. I'm a sole proprietor. I've done Uber for 7 years now, and I only make enough to pay my household bills. If I file bankruptcy, will I be blacklisted from getting USD? Oh, you asked this question yesterday, and we said show up. So thank you. Thank you, Boss Babe and Budgets. You're a rock star. The bad news is the answer to your question is most likely yes. You will be prohibited from participating in any other federal loan programs or grants in the future. When you default on a federal debt, you go into what's called a do not pay database. And do not pay means the person or the business doesn't pay their debts to the government. And so as an underwriting standard, all kinds of federal programs, they look at the do not pay list. Also, certain agencies use the federal government's CAVERS system, which is Credit Alert Interactive Verification Retrieval System, which we used in the mortgage industry to verify that if you were applying for a government loan, such as a Federal Housing Administration loan or a USDA loan to buy a house or refinance a house, or a Veterans Administration loan, we would check CAVERS, because if you're on CAVERS and you get what's called a CAVERS alert, that means you are prohibited from participating in that loan program. And in fact, in the CAVERS system, it is not just failure to pay debts. It is not just defaulting on federal debts. It is also people who have been convicted of criminal activity on federal programs. For instance, on a real estate transaction where the people buying the house are requesting an FHA, Federal Housing Administration mortgage, when we check CAVERS, we plug in not just the people applying for the mortgage, but the people selling the house, the real estate agents, and if they have attorneys, the attorneys representing all the parties. And if one of those other people, not the borrowers, if one of those other people come up as a CAVERS alert because they're prohibited from doing business because of criminal activity, criminal convictions, then those people have to be removed from the transaction. They cannot participate. I don't know if that answers your question, because here's the other side of that, which is what's the word I'm looking for, Linda Ray? The brass tacks. Okay, that's not the word, but it's 2 words, but it's not the 2 words. The second COVID EIDL we processed back in 2020 was for a local business here in Connecticut, where he got a declination letter for the EIDL. And it said, because you defaulted on a previous SBA loan, you are not eligible. Barred for life kind of thing. Well, I got someone on the phone, the SBA. She told me that she was going to approve his request. And she never said a word about the previous thing. And I brought it up on the call, and she kind of just chuckled, and she gave us the approval. My brass tacks answer to you, Boss Babe and Budgets, would be this. You got to do what you got to do right now. Do it. Because if you are struggling to pay this bill, and if your attorney says that they can include the COVID EIDL in the bankruptcy, and that bankruptcy is going to help you save your life and move on with your life and give you a clean slate, then you should do that and worry about those consequences if and when they happen. Next question. Nice one, Linda Ray. Cut me off at perfect timing. I am Yoel. I saw an ad for a company that was offering to get you another 3 years of 90% hardship. That is complete bullshit.
Whoa! Family show.
Hey, listen, I don't care. Yoel, that is a scam. Here's how the hardship program works. Consecutively, you can get hardship accommodation program approval from the SBA in 6-month increments for a total of 2.5 years. That's 5 6-month periods. The first 2 hardship periods is a reduction to 10% of your required payment with a minimum payment required of $25. In other words, if your payment is reduced to less than 25, you would have to pay 20. That is for the first and the second hardship accommodation period. When your 6-month hardship period ends, you must request extension from the SBA. 2.5 years, Pistol Pete. 2.5, not 3. Once you have exhausted those first 2 90% reductions and you want to apply for the third hardship period, if the SBA approves you, you must pay 50% of the required payment. Once that third 6-month period ends and you request an extension to the fourth hardship period, your payment will go from 50% up to 75% of the required payment. And that is the same for the remaining 5th accommodation 6-month period. So, Yoel, I hope that helps you understand that that company is a scam. We have a hardship video playlist here on YouTube, Yoel. I would invite you to find that after the broadcast today. And if you need expert step-by-step instructions, which includes my step-by-step instructions in our guidebook, which includes the HAP application, which includes how to submit, how to fill out the application, my templates I use for our clients to be successful, you can access our EIDL Resource Hub. Click on the link in the description for that. And thank you, Yoel. That was an excellent question.
All right. Kendra has a bankruptcy question.
Pop it up. So there it is. Kendra, please check our posts where we have info about bankruptcy and we have a playlist about bankruptcy. And Kendra, sadly, I can't answer this type of question because I'm not an attorney. We do give hypothetical situations, but we always say, please consult with your attorney. But Kendra, while that is an excellent question, we thank you for posing that. It is, I can't even really give, hypothetical to that. You really need to discuss that with a bankruptcy attorney. Okay, next question, Linda Ray. Ryan Chen, thank you for joining us, Ryan. Just as a reminder, if you like the video, please click the like button, please subscribe, and please share our video with somebody you think might find this information useful. Ryan, hey, Ryan, hey yourself. Got a notice of acceleration and default in my portal, but the balance due is all wrong, and I am current on payments. Is this a case of SBA being wrong, or is it an actual problem? Well, I can't answer that because I don't know what your payment history is, Ryan, but you're going to see an upcoming pre-recorded video here on our channel where I discuss this very topic in detail, but let me give you the really short answer to it right now. Acceleration and default means it's going to go to United States Treasury for collections. So it looks like SBA is up to its old tricks there. Number two, we dealt with somebody just 2 days ago where I looked up his payment history and I could see that, in fact, there were problems with the payments, but SBA didn't tell him properly in a clear, easy to understand manner. When you are late with your credit card payment, when you're late with your mortgage payment, your phone starts ringing, you get emails, you get letters, sometimes you get certified letters, and you get very clear communications from the creditor, from the bank with the credit card, from the bank with the mortgage, and they're pretty clear about how many payments you are behind. Can we work something out? And how much you have to pay to bring it up to date. No such protocol exists at the SBA, and I don't care how many times you call the SBA, you will get wrong answers to that question. So Ryan, make sure you tune in, subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications, because when I put that video up, which the working title of it right now is SBA Forces COVID Loans into Default. That's the working title. We might change it, but that's going to be coming up shortly. And when I say shortly, I don't mean the next 15 minutes, but that's in the works as a pre-recorded video. I know that wasn't a very helpful answer, Ryan, but again, thank you for sharing that question. Your second part of your question, is this a case of SBA being wrong, or is this an actual problem? It's probably both of those things, Ryan. There is probably some payment malfunction somewhere along the line. I would encourage you to look at your payment activity and payment history, both tabs on the MySBA portal. And you kind of, listen, I was a loan officer. I'm a finance person. And when I did this with somebody on the phone and looked at his MySBA portal 2 nights ago, it was difficult for me to figure it out, with my Sherlock Holmes detective cap on. I can't imagine how the average small business owner functions in that case, but stay tuned for that video.